Hi, Carmen. I hope you all are well. I'm excited to provide an in-person learning update, our phase 3 of reopening. As you all know, on March 1st, we launched our phase 2 of in-person learning, inviting a small subset of students identified across the entire organization that needed additional support. Um, it's been, quite frankly, the highlight of my year. To be able to see students in person and staff in person has been really, really phenomenal. Um, I want to extend a huge shout out and appreciation to our operations team, our learning guides, our staff who are serving as proctors today at Northwest High School, for our juniors who are taking the ACT, the Carmen leadership team, our school leaders. Just a number of you all have done a fantastic job behind the scenes, really making this possible for our students these last 2 weeks. So thank you. I also want to share that 7 months ago, when we launched this academic school year on September 1st for our students, we decided to go in a virtual platform. A lot of that was stemming from the reality of our community transmissions rate was just so high. And in September, we had one of our zip codes of upwards of 40% positivity rate. We simply couldn't, in good conscience, open up our buildings knowing well enough that we didn't have sufficient data, and we didn't know whether it was truly, in fact, safe to bring back students into our buildings. We have at Carmen committed to prioritizing the safety of our entire Carmen community, of you all, of our students, and our families. We remain committed to the safety of everyone within our Carmen community. We also know that 7 months later, really 11 months later, we've been able to gather a lot more data locally, for schools have reopened in the fall. Schools have reopened just a few weeks ago. We've been able to gather, we've had conversations with them, gathered their data, talked to schools across the country that reopened as well, to see, has there been transmission of this virus in their school communities? And what we are learning, what we have learned, is there has been limited to no transmission at school sites. CDC is stating that we can safely reopen up our schools. And as long as there are the safety protocols and precautions put in place. At Carmen, we're calling them the layers of protection. We know that 67%, 2/3 of our families, are reporting that in-person learning is just much more beneficial than distance learning. We also have known that 2/3 of our families, 67% of our families, prefer in-person learning and actually would send their children back when this option of in-person learning becomes available. We also know that when we went into that phase 2, March 1st, reopening, we weren't serving all of the students who were identified as high need by either staff or by families. So this is also an opportunity for us to make sure that we're providing an in-person learning option for more of our families. We also know that nothing can replace in-person learning. We know that our students learn better in person. We've heard that from you all. We've heard that from our families. We've heard that from our high school students. We know that students are missing that socializing aspect. We know that our students, we want to be able to help develop their social development, social emotional development, and instruction and student level support is much better in person than in a virtual learning platform. So therefore, we are incredibly excited to welcome all of our staff back into our buildings to prepare for our April reopening. We're excited, this is important dates to note, we're excited to welcome back our students into our buildings in this hybrid model, into our phase 3 of learning, April 15th for our elementary and our middle schools, and April 19th for our high schools. Families will have the option to go ahead and continue with distance learning or to opt into in-person learning. I think it's important to talk through a couple of the different dates. So today I'm announcing this phase 3 of when staff will be coming back into buildings, when we'll have a training, when we welcome all of our staff to practice the different safety protocols in place, and when students will be coming back into buildings. On tomorrow, Wednesday, you'll be getting a video from our teaching and learning team to provide additional details in terms of our hybrid learning plan. Also, our families will receive a video with the dates for coming back into our buildings. We'll be providing on the 11th a video to our families that goes through the safety protocols and the instructional model as well. Next week, on the 16th, we'll have a staff town hall. We welcome you all to be a part of that. We'll record it for any of those who are not able to attend. On the 17th, we'll have a family town hall, and that is also the date in which you should send in any staff leave or accommodations that are necessary to our fantastic director of HR. You'll be hearing a little bit more today from her directly in terms of staff leaves and accommodations. We will then, on the 19th, have our families decide whether the deadline to opt into in-person learning is the 19th. For that phase 2 of learning, the last day is March 30th. That Wednesday, March 31st, all staff, it's mandatory to have all staff back in buildings to practice on our safety protocols. And on the April 1st and 2nd, staff can certainly work from buildings. Flexibility will be granted by your direct supervisors. We go into spring break. And then that we didn't want staff to go ahead and do teaching with students on that first day coming back from spring break. So what we have learned from folks locally and across the country is that having asynchronous days to truly prepare all of our staff for the return of our students is a best practice. So we've put that into our plan. So all staff will be required to work from buildings on April 12th. Everyone will be required to come back into the buildings on March 31st to practice all of the safety protocols in preparation of bringing our students back. On April 15th, we will welcome our elementary and our middle school students. And the following week on Monday, we welcome our high school students. I'm sure that's going to surface a number of questions for you all. As a former teacher, I'm sure you're asking yourself a little bit more questions in terms of the educational model. Again, a lot of that is going to be shared with you tomorrow through our academic teaching and learning team. Some of you might be asking, why April 15th and 19th? Admittedly, starting with elementary and middle and then our high school provides the network team the ability to provide additional support to the schools. And it also provides us exactly what this phase 2 has provided us and our ACT Learning Day today, just how we can refine and get better in our protocols that we have in place before we welcome even greater number of students back into our buildings. Again, it's also been best practice that we've heard locally and across the country. This also provides over a month of a runway for our families and for you all, our staff. It provides time for us to finalize the hybrid plan and the staff training before those doors open to all students. And we're building upon kind of that productive and safe work of our students and staff from March. You're probably asking, what makes us so confident this is safe? As I've shared before, the safety protocols are installed at school sites by our operation teams and our school leaders that align or sometimes even exceed what CDC recommendations are. Again, there's a video embedded in my email where our fantastic COO, Heather Heaviland, has shared our safety protocols. All staff have had the opportunity since last week on March 1st and even a little before that to schedule their first vaccine. And given the fact that most of the appointments of our staff last week and this week, individuals will actually have the ability to potentially even have their second dose before students come back into buildings. Our safety plan was approved by the Milwaukee Health Department. What we've seen is in our city, there's a 2.5 positivity rate, and that's been really great to be able to see. And again, we continue to follow CDC guidelines and follow the guidance of the Milwaukee Health Department, the Wisconsin Department of Health, and additional health experts as well. Heather will go deeper into this, so I'm going to breeze through it. But again, I referred to it earlier in this presentation, 6 layers of safety and protection. face masks, physical distancing, hand hygiene, health and wellness surveys and temp checks, cleaning and disinfecting, especially those high-touch areas, and rapid response protocols. Again, Heather will talk a little bit more in terms of what this looks like at the different school sites. Again, as a former teacher, I would want to know, what does this learning look like? Students will attend 2 days a week in person at least. There'll be some in-person instruction from teachers. Some students will probably, families elect to stay virtual, and that's okay. Wednesdays will continue to be asynchronous learning days for our students. PDs, staff trainings, all of those will still remain via Zoom for the remainder of the school year. Again, you'll learn more information tomorrow. All that has to be true. Folks, we have taken an abundant amount of caution over this last year to ensure your safety, the safety of our families, the safety of our students. We have and we will continue to follow what health experts are telling us. We have pivoted and re-strategized, and we have to pivot and re-strategize to best serve the needs of our families and our students and respond to our staff feedback. We will continue to evolve our approach towards eventual full in-person learning, likely in the fall. This is the next step in preparation for summer and fall. I imagine you have a myriad of questions. We welcome those. I welcome you to visit our staff website. My email has a link to a survey where you can go ahead and state any questions you might have. We welcome those questions or the concerns. I appreciate how hard each and every one of you have been working in order to provide the best education possible for our students, given what has been the most challenging year yet. So thank you very much. And again, we welcome any questions or concerns that you may have. Thank you. Have a great day.